This year, in 2026, we celebrate America's 250th anniversary, and it got me thinking about our own history right here in Souderton. This is a place where generations of people have built their lives, their businesses, and their families. Your home, the land that it sits on, the businesses you enjoy, and the institutions you rely on, they didn't just pop up in the time that you've needed them, and I think we take for granted those that came before us that made our community what it is today. And so the goal of this podcast is to interview Souderton Legends, just some of the people that made significant contributions to our community in their time. For some listeners, this may be a walk down memory lane. And for many, I hope it serves as a reminder and an inspiration to do good in your community in your time here. I'm Mayor of Souderton, Dan Yoakum, and welcome to the Souderton Legends Podcast. Jon Leight has been a leader, a supporter, and a staple in the Souderton music community for more than 4 decades. Not only has he taught and inspired generations of musicians of all ages, but he has connections to past legendary names that are part of the fabric of this community and beyond. I am not only honored to call Jon a friend, but thrilled to welcome him as a Souderton legend. So without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, Jon Leight.
Okay.
Welcome. Thanks for being here. So Jon, you've been in the Souderton music community for a long time. So I thought, hear me out on this one. Ready? Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start.
That's good.
Was that good? I didn't have you as a teacher, so
Yeah.
I probably could use your help. No, but really, let's start with your, I'd love to know, first of all, if you're comfortable answering this question, how old you are right now.
Yes, I'm 85.
85, Jon. I promise you when I say this, I would never guess that. So for 85 years, let's talk about your early days. How did you get into education, and how did that bring you to Souderton? And I know there's other parts of your life that people may not know about those early years. So let's talk about them.
Well, I had a degree originally in music education from Briarcliff Manor, New York, King's College. And I graduated in January, and I thought, what am I going to do, for the rest of the year? But I student taught in a large district, just like Souderton is now a large district. And at Claremont Elementary School, the teacher resigned. So I didn't even have to interview or anything. They just hired me. And I remember that fondly, because the head of the music department came and played the piano for me at our spring concert. And it was showbiz has always been a part of my life from high school on. So he didn't know anything about that, but he was really impressed, evidently. So then I moved to New York City, and I could have remained there. They wanted me to stay, but I decided to study voice. Mm-hmm. So my voice teacher, she and her husband had Fulbright scholarships, so they went away for the summer. So they gave me their apartment for the summer, and it was difficult to find a job because people they knew my background was music, so they didn't want. So it took a couple months till I actually found a job. But that's why I was drafted into the Army, because I didn't have a teaching job then.
And what year approximately was this?
That was 1963.
Oh, it's a long time ago. So you were in New York City to start. Well, first of all, before we even get to that part, you are very musical, and obviously you're a legend in Souderton because of your contributions to the music program in the community. What was it about your, I suppose, childhood that were your parents musical? Did you come from a musical family?
My father was quite a good singer. He was a tenor, and he probably sang at more weddings than I ever did. and my mother played the piano. And even though my sister is famous for being on the U.S. field hockey team, she also took piano for 7 years. So it was a music family, and my grandmother. So I guess that's where it came from.
And then, so you had an interest in music, but before your music career really took off, you mentioned it. You were in the Army. I think that's something that a lot of people wouldn't guess.
I know. But I don't know. I think back, was it Providence or what? That I had all these people and people that I met in basic training that probably went off to the infantry and were killed. But I don't know. From the very first day, I mean, I was frightened, of course. Being inducted into the Army, I didn't know what to expect. So I asked for a typing test. Someone told me that I should do that because I took typing in high school. And also I let them know that I had music in my background. And here they wanted me to conduct the men's choir at the chapel. And I never had any experience with men's choirs before. But before I knew it, and I don't know why to this day, people were coming specially to hear the choir, like generals and majors. And so I got out of a lot of duty because of that.
And you're like 21 or something. You're young at the time.
And I don't know if you ever heard of bivouac.
Mm-mm.
Bivouac that was your final thing. You'd march for hours and hours and hours and then live in tents and eat what they called K rations, which were out of cans, But I said to our company commander, because I had already been to college, so I guess I had a little smarts, but I don't know. We had prepared for that Sunday. We knew what we were going to sing, but I said to the company commander, so-and-so's coming to hear us sing on Sunday, and I think we should have choir practice. So I think in the history of the Army, they never sent a truck out to bivouac for people that wanted to have choir practice. So they were so happy because that night, we were doing night firing, and I think I must have slept through a lot of those, but I don't remember what that was all about, so it was perfect.
Perfect, yeah. Yes.
So we had our rehearsal, and then I said to the men, let's go to the PX and get food, and then sneak it back and put it in our tents so we could have something good to eat. So that's what we did.
A rebel at every age.
So then I was stationed at Fort Benjamin Harrison, Indiana. I had typing, English, military procedures, and shorthand. And when I think about the shorthand, they kept me over for many months because for some reason my top secret crypto clearance didn't come in, and they couldn't figure out why. But I had to take a couple court-martials then, and with shorthand. Made me so nervous.
But you ended up working for a pretty significant person in the...
So then I ended up finally in Japan for the Inspector General of the United States.
Wow.
I can't think of it.
And you were his...
I was his personal secretary. And I said to him, it makes me nervous to do shorthand, to do... So whenever they'd come to the office, he'd say I was too busy.
And you ended up, you're short selling yourself here, Jon, because I think you ended up getting a pretty significant commendation.
Yes. After I finally was discharged, a couple people showed up at my door in Colpsville, and they presented me with the Army Commendation Medal, which they claim was the highest award, non-combat award at that time in the U.S.
Wow. That is a pretty incredible early part of your career.
Yeah.
So then you get out of the Army and you move to Colpsville.
That's where my parents lived.
Back when Colpsville was a real town.
Yeah.
And now it's a little bit like a entrance to the highway.
Yeah, I live on the land that was my grandfather's farm.
Oh, wow.
It was a huge farm then when I was a child, but it's all built up now. And we had a tennis court. And it was really nice.
So everything there that is very industrialized now, that was your family farm. Wow, that's very cool.
And then my great-grandfather owned Morgandale, which is across from Dock.
Yeah.
I never met him, but he bought it in 1890.
Wow.
And I think it had 100 acres then.
Wow.
I ride my bicycle over there, and I think about what it must have been like then, you know.
Yeah, I think that's such a part of this whole interview series that we're doing, to just think about what the world is like today, and like the people we talked to. Jon Leight last week, and his family got here in 1728. I think about your ancestors there on the farm in Colpsville were like pioneers. Yeah. It's hard to believe compared to what it is today. So then you become a music educator, and I think you got to Souderton in 1976, if I...
No, that was when I moved to the high school.
Oh, okay. So what were you... Tell us what you were doing before that then.
Well, I got my master's degree in elementary education because I knew that it was difficult to find a music job in those days. You know, there weren't big districts like there are today. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, I'll get something in elementary education. And so I got my master's in that. And so I was hired at Lower Salford in Harleysville to teach third grade. So I taught third grade for 4 years. And I often wonder what I did all day. Because the first year, I know I didn't do any social studies or science. And I thought, are they going to pass their achievement tests? But they did for summer. I don't know.
You were Jon, you're not giving yourself enough credit. I'm sure you were a great third grade teacher.
But like that month of December, we didn't do any reading. We did all art projects.
Right.
And sang a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's when I organized a folk group of teachers, the 4 of us. And I think that's why I wasn't fired. In subsequent years, because the community really liked me. You know, we did public concerts and things. So.
Right, and in all seriousness, that carries out throughout your career, because all teachers are great. Your career is very much more public facing. You're here on this couch as a Souderton legend, not just because of a long teaching career, but because throughout that career, you were really involved in the community. But before we get to that, because you still are, and we'll talk about that. So you were at Lower Salford for a couple of years, but...
Well, I was the third grade teacher for 4 years. And then again, the music teacher resigned because of poor health, and Mr. Tinner, who eventually became the superintendent of the district, Lowell Tinner, he asked me if I would rather teach music. I said yes. You know, so that's what I did for 4 years. And then I put on this big program in 1976, choreographed and everything, all grade levels. And I thought, how can I top this? I thought to myself, and here Aileen Nace, who was the music director, Well, actually, she was the head of the department, but she was the choral director at the high school. She asked me if I wanted to go and take her place while she was on sabbatical. So that's how I got to the high school.
Mm-hmm. And she was, I guess she was, she had a significant career too. I think that sabbatical was in Hollywood, wasn't it? She was like in the Hour of Power.
Right. I was going to say that. Yeah, she. That's why she didn't know whether she was going to come back, because they were going to start a music school. So she ended up, I think they waited until late summer until they decided that she was going to be the principal of their music school. So,
out in California.
Yeah, so then she never came back.
Wow.
So that's why I got the job.
That's fate, I think. She went on to a pretty significant career from Souderton, and you took her a pretty fateful position that would guide the rest of your career.
She had a show choir. I don't know how much she was involved with it, but I was always impressed with the show choir. So I thought, well, I guess I have to continue that on. So that's why I made up my own shows and created and choreographed them and designed the costumes. And I don't think there's teachers. I wonder how I did all that, because the teachers today, all they do, the ones I know that have taken over, they don't do anything like this anymore.
That is a big production value. And it sounds fun. I mean, it sounds like a lot of work, but it sounds like you really did have fun doing it. And this was in the mid-'70s?
Yeah.
So what were some of the shows, do you remember?
Well, one of the ones was Radio City Music Hall, because at that time, people wouldn't remember. They wouldn't know. But they were going to tear down that.
Oh, wow.
Makes me sad when I think about it. So I thought, well, I'll do a tribute to Radio City Music Hall. I had the Rockettes. I brought in an organ. I did everything that you'd see there as a show.
With high school students.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's very impressive.
And then I did a number of American music show, vaudeville show, and one that was really amazing was I loved the music of ABBA, because you'd hear it a lot at the discos and things. So before Mamma Mia, which is their big show, ever appeared, I did my own thing at the high school.
You were ahead of your time.
Yeah. So that was amazing.
Yeah, I think that is amazing. And I think your students to this day, I'm sure, certainly remember that. I think if there's one thing that qualifies you as a legend, I've told this to people, is one day, long into the future, everyone will have a Jon Leight story. Like you have touched a lot of lives and made brought joy, I think. It brought joy to people.
I love having student teachers as well, because I had my own theory how I could get them to, reach their true selves and be good teachers, because they came from Penn State and then they lived in the area for that time, but they weren't really that well prepared. But yet I never badgered them or anything. I just sort of let it flow. And somehow they tell me, that they ended up being these great teachers.
Well, some of them, student teachers or just your former students, did go on to have some significant success, correct?
Yeah, I can't take credit for their...
Sure you can.
For their music ability, because I figure that it's always there. It just has to come out. So I was a vehicle, like Dwayne Hespel, like he was the star at Sight and Sound for 15 years.
Wow.
And then other teachers like Diane Ramage, she's the choral director at the Indian Valley Middle School. And Brenda Maroney, Damiani was her maiden name. She graduated with in vocal performance, but she teaches a lot of the kids from the high school now. It's just a few people like that.
And I think Eric Stover was your was your student also.
Yeah, he was an amazing music teacher, but he told me that he gave it up because of the parents. Isn't that sad?
I did not know that. He was my music teacher.
Yeah, he said that there were so many complaints, that he couldn't deal with it anymore. So now he's a great tech person, I think.
Well, that is a shame. And for in ways that we don't need to talk about on this recording, you would not have thrived in the modern world with the parents complaining. I think you would have handled it I think you did handle it in a different way. But we don't have to talk about that. But yeah, these are people. So you taught these people. And not just taught them, but I think probably inspired them and worked with them. And now they are on to teach the next generation. So you really have had this.
Yeah, I was so fortunate that they have now what they call block scheduling at the high school. And I think they only have 4 classes a day that are long. I think I don't know how I would deal with that. So they started the year after I retired. So.
Oh, okay.
Because now I think it's difficult for some students to take music, courses that they want because they only have a few choices every day.
Would you say that at that time in the 70s that was it common to have, I imagine that some schools didn't even have a music program and you had sort of a pretty dynamic one.
I don't know about other schools, but I know I also taught music appreciation, and I don't think they have that anymore. It's too bad,
But I guess I'm saying it's like you kind of put Souderton, you helped to put Souderton on the map a little bit because you were doing these big numbers, big productions that no one else was doing and nobody else is doing now.
I don't know. It was. When I was in high school, there was a person named Betty Reichenbach, and I took guitar from her for maybe 6 years. And so she put on shows. I think this was before TV was really a big thing. So at Lansdale High School, she put on these big, extravagant shows, and that's where I got that into my... self, that's how I started shows, because I had that as a high school student.
And I still think that they do put on pretty significant productions.
Their musicals are great.
Yeah.
I go and the student orchestra the last 2 years and before that maybe were tremendous.
And you were doing it in the old Souderton High School, which was a magnificent room to be doing that.
The acoustics, and they actually had an orchestra pit, and they also have a balcony now. But the acoustics, to think, well, when you attended and when I was teacher there, they had the original school and then all those classrooms to the left. But to think what it was like originally in that 4-corner, where they had the auditorium in the middle of the school and then all the classes were around it.
Yeah.
It must have been something.
Yeah, that's a shame that school's not there anymore. But anyway, it is what it is. That's a conversation for a different time. Another thing, not only were you putting on these significant productions, but I think you were also doing some pretty innovative trips with your students, right? Is that something you want to talk about?
Yeah, every 3 years. I heard that Miss Nash used to go on trips. And I think to Canada as well, but something happened up there that I'm not sure what it was. But they said that no more trips or something like that. One of the students misbehaved, something like that, But I thought, well, we should share our town. So every 3 years, we went to Washington, D.C., and stayed for 3 nights. The first hotel was the Capitol Hilton, and then we stayed at the Regency Hotel, and it was a first-class trip. Kids, they remember that. We always had a big banquet.
And they were performing there or listening?
Yeah, they performed. I wore them out the first year. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there were 6 or 8 performances in that time. I didn't think about it, but they were just exhausted. So I thought, well, from now on, if we do 4 or 5, mm-hmm. so be it, and give them a whole day free. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you'd be allowed to do this today, but
it sounds very stressful.
All day Friday, they could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, again, there's just like you did so much more than you impacted these people's lives in a way that I think a lot of.
And then we also did a concert tour to New York, and we sang at St. Patrick's Cathedral at least maybe 4 times, and we sang at the UN.
Wow.
So it's amazing.
Yeah, you were organizing.
When I look back, I don't remember all this, but one thing it wasn't all peaches and cream though, because on this time there was always one student, as I recall, that gave me a hard time that you couldn't reach. And then I think, oh boy, that person is graduating. Oh, and then someone would come along as a freshman.
Yeah, I'm sure you dealt with a lot, but you did a lot too, and that's why you made a big impact. How long were you there at Souderton High School?
20 years.
So what year did you retire?
Well, I thought it was 1997, but Kristen Ditlow, who played for us last season at Concert Sundays, she said it was 1996.
Oh, okay.
And then
Kristen Ditlow is one of your students too, and she was amazing. You want to talk about her a little bit?
Well, one thing about her is she was taking piano lessons from Aileen Nace. I don't know if she started, because Aileen had retired then and was teaching students. And I thought that she was really exceptional. And I just gave her confidence, and here I didn't know, her parents didn't know, and Aileen didn't know. She went to Philadelphia on her own and auditioned at the settlement school and was accepted. So that's where it all started. And then she went to Westminster Choir College, and I also knew the director there and the piano accompanist, because I used to take summer courses there. And so she learned from the absolute best.
Yourself included.
I mean, I wasn't there, but I mean from...
Right, yeah, from there.
But
she then toured Europe, and she is still doing that.
Yeah, she's been to all over.
Yeah. I'm sure there's also more students that we're not talking about, that maybe we don't even know about, or that we're not mentioning, that have had a successful career in music that because of your influence.
So I didn't feel like she had changed a bit, all these adulations and where she'd been, it was really wonderful to reconnect with her.
Yeah, Jon brought her back for Concert Sundays in 2025, and she did a George Gershwin tribute that on the piano, which was perhaps the best performance that has ever been on that stage. I mean, it was exceptionally good. She was amazing. So another person. So let's talk about Concert Sundays for a second, which is really how Jon and I know each other. We are good friends and also drive each other nuts on the Concert Sundays committee. I think that's a fair statement.
Yes. Yeah. I try to bite my tongue. Doesn't always work.
Yeah. Same. But there's a person that, so how long have you been on the Concert Sundays committee? Almost since the beginning, not quite, but almost. Since like the 80s.
Yeah, I started with my high school choirs performing there, but I wasn't on the committee originally. Mm-hmm. And then the committee used to meet at the district office for lunch. I don't know how often, but we used to have lunch. The school district would pay for it, and that's where we'd have our meetings.
Oh, what the heck? We should do that now.
Yeah.
So there's a couple people that were involved in those early days that I think are gone, but because this is called the Souderton Legends Podcast, if they were alive today, they would certainly be considered Souderton Legends. One of them was Dolores Day. Do you have any memories of her? She was like Mrs. Souderton.
Oh, I know. Well, I didn't realize that actually she substituted for me. I didn't know who the substitutes were, but she substituted for me in music at Lower Salford. But she was always with it. I mean, she was always looking ahead. Like, she was the first person Souderton that had a Mini Cooper, for example.
Yeah, she seemed like, I didn't know her obviously, but she seemed like a stylish, forward-thinking person, and like she was involved in all the centennials and all the events at the parades, every event in town. She was like a driving force.
Yeah, I remember her house well, which was across the street from Souderton and Mennonite homes, and she'd invite us usually once a year, a lot of people to her home for dinner and things like that. So, but I knew her quite well.
Yeah. And she had a huge hand in starting the Concert Sundays program. And then another person I wanted to mention was the man who, I guess maybe you took over. Did you take over the... No, the band shell is named after Maurice Folk, who was a music educator in the district forever. And I think people may know his name now because the band shell is the Maurice Folk band shell. But he was far more than just a name on a plaque. Tell us about him, what you do about him. Did you work with him, or had he retired already?
I always thought when people would give me accolades, I'd say, well, think about Maurice Folk. I mean, what he accomplished because when he was the teacher at the school, well, originally it was just that four-cornered school and everything, but it was a very small district then, but he had a large band, and he did the choir, and I think he brought opera groups from Philadelphia, and I had a lot of respect for him, but he had retired, but he was still working, teaching strings at a couple elementary schools. So that's how I got to know him when I came to the district.
Yeah, I mean, it was a small school, a rural district at the time, which was in like the 30s, I think, when he got here. And he is credited with bringing a music program to the area. Yeah, and he worked there forever, like 60 years. I don't know if he was working the whole time, but yeah, he was also a legend. That's why the band shell's named after him. Another person that is a name that floats around that you knew was a woman that left a significant amount of money towards music programs in the churches, and that was Mildred Mitchell.
Yeah, her maiden name was Bart, and as far as I know, she was an only child, and they lived in Souderton, and I think she inherited a lot of money, although she had a beautiful home in North Wales. And I'd say to her, boy, you have a wonderful collection of cut glass and all this stuff. And then she'd say, well, you ought to see what I have in my mailbox, or in, what do they call those? In banks.
Oh, in your safe deposit box. So.
I knew her quite well because some of the churches that are getting money from her, it's because I was involved there.
Yeah, tell us.
She wasn't involved there, but so I think there's 5 churches, and as far as I know, they're still getting every month around $700.
Yeah.
And
it is extremely significant. The Mildred Mitchell Fund in Souderton is funding music programs to this day. I have no idea when she passed away, but it was a long time ago. And that is
it's wonderful. I wish more people that have money like that, because she inherited a lot of that money from her husband, I believe. Mm-hmm. She married late in life, I think when she was in her 60s. But to make such a contribution from now on, it's amazing.
And I think, I want to celebrate her name, because it's another one that, like, people who maybe the treasurer of those churches sees her name on a piece of paper, but she was a real person that you knew. And so I just want to celebrate that, what she did. And it sounds like you had a contribution to get her to do that.
Yeah, when I was at Zion Mennonite, the music director, also, I think for 20 years, that money was amazing. I mean, I had a great music program of guest artists that came in, and I had the #1 organist in the United States there 3 times.
Wow. Well, let's talk about Zion Mennonite too. You were there. You were the music director there for a long time also. And that is a pretty significant musical space and instrument, correct?
Yeah, the organ is a Fisk tracker organ, and the gentleman, his last name was Fisk. This was back in the 60s, when I think that they built that building, and he put that organ in. It's a freestanding instrument, and that's why Jerry Hancock, that #1 organist, I was at a banquet with him, and I told him about it, and he said, "I've got to play it."
Wow.
So I didn't realize at the time, but Fisk was very dear to him, because whenever they had an instrument, either in Japan or in Europe, he'd play the recital.
Wow.
So to have him come and to be close friends with him and be there for 3 or 4 presentations. And so I had a lot of people that graduated from Curtis and a lot of groups, and it was an amazing time.
Yeah, and that space is acoustically perfect, isn't it?
Oh, it's like the Metropolitan. I call it like the Metropolitan Opera, because to me, if you're singing up front, a solo, it's almost the same volume in the back. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how the Metropolitan Opera is, Mm-hmm. And I knew some of the architects, one of the architects that brought a group of architects to Souderton and the area, and they said that building is like a Frank Lloyd Wright building.
Mm-hmm. All of this stuff is stuff that I think people take for granted today or have forgotten. I mean, people that go there know that it is significant, but I
don't even know if they know if it's significant anymore.
Well, that's why we're recording this.
It's sad,
That's why we're recording this, so that, the next generation understands not only what you did, but that they can continue to celebrate the things that you brought here and know to be amazing.
I met the architect. I can't think of his name offhand, but Elvin Souder, who's from Souder
law firm.
He and I met with him and had dinner with him, and I thought, boy, is this a treat to meet somebody, mm-hmm. the architect of that space. And when he retired, he went around the world to, as much as he could, to 50 or 60 places that he had designed. He just wanted to see what was happening. So he was pleased that Zion didn't put cushions,
Yeah. Yeah.
on the pews, and that they didn't hang any drapes.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't. I think there was a reception room where the adult class. He didn't like that room.
Oh. Well,
he said a lot of people were desecrators then.
well, it still stands as it is a beautiful building.
Oh, it is,
and it has that organ in it that people don't know that right here in Souderton is this incredible one of a kind piece.
Originally, the reception room had like shaker, really plain furniture, but then they wanted, more comfortable couches and stuff like that. So he didn't like that. But he was really happy
with the sanctuary,
with it overall.
Yeah, amazing. So other things. So this is why I already said this, but this is why you are a legend. You could have just been an educator in the district and quietly taught students for 30 years, but you really are still out there. You're still on the Concert Sundays committee, and you are also still the director of the Souderton Men Alumni Chorus. Correct?
Yes. To think that when we first organized, they were all my students. Now I have people in the group that graduated from Dock and also from North Penn.
And also their grandchildren are probably graduating at this point.
That's true.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you've been at it for 30 years, right? And you perform all over the place. And
to think that I don't recall them, I had like in the spring and summer, we would do like 9 or 10 concerts, and the same around Christmas time. But I can't recall them ever complaining.
Well, you just weren't listening to them.
That was a lot.
Yes, that is a lot.
From their personal lives and everything. So now I try to keep it to 4 to 6.
And for you, I mean, it is a huge dedication that you, at 85, you're continuing this.
I hope I can continue.
Yeah.
Because I sort of come to life, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's really obvious. Anybody that's ever seen you in front of a crowd knows that you still enjoy it, and that's amazing. There is one more person I want to talk about who is a Souderton, like I would say, forgotten legend. And Jon, you brought his name back into the world, and I think people had long forgotten that he ever lived in Souderton. And you know who I'm talking about, so I'm going to let you take it away.
Well, his name was William Marquand. I'm not sure if that's the way you pronounce it, but actually, he graduated from Souderton High School the year I was born, in 1940.
So to clarify, Jon did not know this person, but you knew the history, and that's just as important, celebrating him.
Yeah, Mildred Mitchell told me all about him, and then I wrote an article about him for the Souderton Telford Historical Society. And he was a playwright, and one of his most famous plays was called Desk Set. And Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn were in the film, but it was on Broadway originally with Shirley Booth. And I think it had 279 performances.
And this is a Souderton alum.
Yeah.
That no one has... That's amazing.
He had other plays as well. They maybe weren't as well known as Desk Set, but he translated a French book, I think, and he was a close friend of Noel Coward.
Wow.
And for 23 years, so he traveled all over the world, where he was, not all the time, but a lot of the times when Noel had a performance or was on vacation or things like that. So I have a copy of the book that he wrote called The Privilege of His Company, Noel Coward Remembered.
By William Marcon.
Yeah.
That is amazing. A Souderton grad went on to write a successful Broadway hit, which became a Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn movie, and he was friends with Noel Coward and wrote a book about him. And I would argue that before maybe Mildred Mitchell brought him to you, and you brought him to light in the modern world, he's largely forgotten about. But that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I have this listed. Some of his personal friends was Vivian Lee, Marlene Dietrich, and Lily Palmer, who was very famous then, Elaine Stretch, Clifton Webb, Marlene Stapleton, and the Redgraves, who were really famous. So he knew them very well. And how I got to know about him was, like I said, from Mildred Mitchell, because unfortunately he was in an actor's home in Englewood, New Jersey, and I think he had a partner, I'm not sure, but that person had passed away, so no one, it's sad to talk about, but no one claimed his body.
Yeah.
So then Mildred, I don't know how she found out about it, but she and they were the same year. They graduated the same year from Souderton High School. So she and a few friends, they got his body, brought him, I think they brought it to Souderton, and they paid for the funeral and everything.
Wow. Yeah, it's sad, but it is impressive. Here we are today in 2026 still talking about it. And that's a lot thanks to you. I hope that it becomes more celebrated. And I don't know why we haven't done a screening of the desk set, but we will. I think that would be amazing.
That would be neat to do in the theater.
Yeah. I mean, this is a Souderton connection straight from the source.
I've been wanting to get in touch with the people there at the theater to also, if they could get a film called How Green Is My Valley, because that has all these Welsh men's choir singing throughout. And I thought that would be a wonderful thing for people to see.
The Broad Theater.
Yeah.
We can see them if we can make that happen.
I knew a person who at one time, they must have had a pipe organ when it was one theater, because he played the organ there, and also the original theater was where the charter school is. That was the original theater.
The Mirror Theater. Yeah, that's hard. That's another thing that people forgot, where that charter school was the theater in the teens before the Broad Theater. Right. Souderton's had a rich history of entertainment. It's forgotten, but it's always been here. Well, Jon, let me give this opportunity. Jon thought we weren't even going to talk for 45 minutes, and here we are. So well,
you left me ramble on, so that was okay.
I could hear you talk all day. But is there anything else before we wrap up that any other significant people, events that you want to talk about, or moments in your life in Souderton that made a difference?
All I can say is it was a privilege.
Yeah. Well, it's a privilege still to have you. And anybody that comes to Concert Sundays still hears your melodious voice every week from the stage. And really, for those listening, the two people that are listening to this, Jon, I cannot tell you, at 85, Jon is an integral part of the Concert Sundays committee. He helps choose the music, he books the bands, he writes the write-up, he gets their photos, he works with them, he gets their riders, he ensures that everything is running smoothly. And so, Jon's not just like a person emeritus on that committee. He is, for almost 40 years, has been truly integral. So we thank you for that and for everything else you continue to do in the community.
All right.
We have a lot of fun doing it, and
Yeah.
I'm happy for that. Very good. Thanks, Jon.
You're welcome.